Today we get to hear from Michael Huggins, and we talked last week a little bit how he rose from oil rags to riches. When he was peddling himself to Jiffy Lube and to Sears Auto Center, he didn't have a car. He had a borrowed bicycle. Today you'll see him cruising around in an Aston Martin in his Mustang that he's restoring that is so awesome. I've been for a ride in that one. That looks great. Michael, can't wait to ride in the Aston Martin. Hint, hint, wink, wink. Not only is he driving around in style, he is now a jet setter. He has recently come back from Europe. But while in Europe, every day, his thoughts were on us, on our team, on how we're doing, on how he can build us up, even from Europe. He used the tools of the internet, Facebook Live, to encourage us, to show us what we can reach for, how we can get there. And as always, he is just so eager for all of us to be the best we can be. Michael, how are you this morning?
Morning, Ron. I'm doing great. How are you?
Excellent. Here, let me send you the controls.
Okay. Let's get this party started. Good morning, everyone. We're going to jump into today's topic. Thanks, Ron, for the awesome warm-up, playing those videos and the songs. And we are going to jump into it. Wealth Wednesday is always exciting for me, so I appreciate you guys being here. And let's get some good use out of this time together. Today, what I wanted to talk about, and so get your questions ready. I'll share with you what I got, and then let's clarify, especially for different parts of the country, whatever you guys want to know. But as Ron started talking about the events coming up, I want to talk about how to build for them. So let's talk about building for events. This BFE has nothing to do with Egypt. It's all about events, event-driven business. That's what we are, okay? We are an event-driven business. Event-driven business. I also learned about hyphens. If you're doing a double adjective over a noun, you should hyphenate. Okay, we're an event-driven business. Let's build for events. So what kind of events are we talking about here? Well, first of all, there are minor exposures. There are things like the 15-minute intro, right? Or a phone call, 15-minute webinar, or a phone call where people are just getting their interest peaked. We're just starting to teach them or expose them to who we are and what we do. Okay. Quick little 15-minute phone call. And then while you're on that phone call or that webinar, you know what we're going to do? We got to build for the next event. So we look in our calendar, we look in the marketplace, and we pick the next event. Okay. Sometimes people will just pick the Thursday night event, right? But like if you get a guest, let's say you get a guest on Friday, or a lead calls in Friday morning, you call them back. You're not going to wait till next Thursday. You're not going to wait till the next epic to get them to an event. Why don't you get them to the Saturday event or the next Tuesday event? So generally speaking, we're going for the next event, but sometimes an event that's a little more relaxed, that's a little more laid back to help people kind of warm up to who we are and what we do. And those are going to be events like Cash Flow. Okay, the Cash Flow 101 board game, which, by the way, Cameron Lewis did a kick-ass training for the Denver team on their team webinar last night. Cash Flow is a game. Here's some of the benefits of Cash Flow. Okay, first of all, it's a game, so it's relaxed. Okay, people have their guard down. Second of all, they're going to learn hands-on. They actually have to play the game. So learning hands-on. Well, we're an education business. We sell education. right? We apply education. We got coaches, mentors, calls, books, training. I mean, everything. So learning is valuable. It's this hands-on approach. Okay, it's also very applicable to their life, right? Most people don't handle their income and their expenses and their assets and their liabilities. They just kind of bounce around. And I was talking to a few IMAs over the weekend because we had our regionals, and I'm really grateful for these conversations because I kind of forgot what it was like to how do I say this? I forgot what it was like to live off $2,500 a month. And to hear people get excited about, a $12 or $13 an hour job, I was just trying to think, like, how do people pay their bills off of $2,500 a month? And one of the IMAs I was talking to was like, dude, people don't think like that. They think like, okay, I'm going to pay my rent, I'm going to pay my phone, I'm going to get some food. Okay, what's left over? Oh, this is what's left over. Now I can go party. Now I can go play. Now I can go buy some clothes. So they're not really thinking about cash flow. They're not really thinking about income and expenses. If you're drawing on my board, will you please stop it? Erase that little red squiggle. Silly people. Okay. So here's something to learn when you're building for cash flow. Okay, so I'm going to erase this in a sec because I got this cool little drawing thing I'm going after. But for cash flow patterns, here's something for you guys to learn. So as you're building for cash flows, or you're thinking about hosting them at your house or in your office, I'm telling you, one of the fastest ways to get good at a presentation is to start hosting the cash flow game. So go get cash flow on eBay or Amazon. Is like $50-$60 for a brand new game. Okay, so here's the patterns. We are dealing with poor patterns, middle class patterns, and wealthy patterns. Okay, so here is our income statement. And on our income statement, we are dealing with income, expenses, assets, and liabilities. Okay, liabilities cost you, assets pay you. So a poor person does something totally different. And this is what's nice about cash flow, is it's quite an awakening, and people can start to make a shift. That shift is so valuable that they'll pay you to be a part of the team and to own a combo. Okay, we're focusing on a shift. This is what we want to do here. All right, so the poor person flows like this. Money comes in, money goes out. Really? The middle, guys, stop using the pen feature. My turn. You can have a turn later. Okay, poor, money comes in, money goes out. The middle class, money comes in. They use that money to buy a liability. And what does a liability do? Crap, I did it backwards. Stand by. Here we go. Here we go. I'm fixing it. This side is liabilities. Liabilities. This side is assets. My bad. Okay. Back to the middle class. By the way, remember, if you're dialing in, I'm drawing something, so you could use the app, install the Zoom app, and use that same login code to dial in, and you can actually use the app and see what I'm drawing here. Okay, so the middle class person, their money comes in, then they buy a liability. That liability creates an expense, and their money goes out like that. Okay, money comes in, they buy a liability. Liabilities create expenses, money goes out. The wealthy cash flow pattern, as their money comes in. Now here's something to remember. this amount of money that's coming in here, here, and here, it could be the same for all three people. It doesn't matter the amount. It's how the cash flows. That's what they're doing with the money. So the wealthy person, their money comes in, they buy an asset with it. What does an asset do? It produces more income. Then they take that income and pay for their expenses, and their money goes out. Okay, so it's not the amount of money that really dictates if you're poor, middle class, or wealthy. It's how you force it to flow. It's what direction you're pushing it in, and it's the result you're creating. Okay, with this pattern, think about it. With this pattern, you'd never need a job because your assets produce income for you to pay your bills. So at a Cash Flow 101 game, we're looking at 90 minutes to 2 hours. People get to learn this stuff, and then they go, well, how do I buy an asset? How do I know what asset to buy? And then you go, these are all great questions. Why don't you come with me, or why don't you go to this, or why don't you check this out? And now we have the perfect opportunity to build for the next event. Okay, this whole idea is to create intrigue, to create value so people can actually get a new result in their life. All right, take a quick screenshot before I erase this. Okay, so after we build for events, hey guys, thanks for jumping on here. Remember, you can use the Zoom app to see the screen if you're dialing in with your phone. Okay, so now let's talk about the next event to build for. After we've talked about cash flow, what else can we work towards? Well, the next one we're going to work towards is called the house tour. At the house tour, people learn a ton. House tour. I remember going to my first house tour and realizing how rich I was going to be because I saw the people working on that house tour and I saw that it wasn't anything I couldn't do. For the longest time, I thought real estate was going to be hard and I had to take 1,000,000 classes to do it. And it was intimidating. But then I go to the house tours and I start to see like, oh, wait a minute. This stuff is easy. I could do this. I could tell someone to paint. I could pick carpet. I could do this. So these house tours are generally in the mornings and generally on Saturdays. Now, some teams, as they're growing, we've got new leaders and we're trying out new presentations. The house tour is a perfect spot to try out new presentations as well. But these house tours are also hands-on. Okay, it's also more of a relaxed setting. The house tour also allows for you to do a bonus event. When it's on mornings and it's Saturdays, a bonus event. When the house tour is over, you take your prospect to lunch. Okay? This idea of breaking bread with people is special. You break bread with someone and you're there and you're talking about the future and you're talking about work and possibilities, and then you talk about our community and the CEO, and you talk about the education and the compensation plan. This is where people they start to realize, whoa, you're not just a salesperson, but you're like a guidance counselor. You are leading them to the land of financial freedom. So house tours are a great event to build for. What if you're in a market, guys? What if you're in a market, gals? You're in a market that does not have a team member with a fix and flip going on right now, or with a piece of property for you to walk through. What can you do? You don't want to just wait around for someone to get a property. Well, one, you're going to go get your own. But in the meantime, as you're still sorting, you actually can tour properties that are for sale, right? So you can go to student properties. But what about just going to listings on the MLS? Saying, hey, team, you got 3 or 4 IMAs as you're building your team. You got 4 or 5 guests. coming down and you're like, hey, this is a property for sale. Do you think we could make money with it? Let's talk about it. You guys are sitting in the room, you analyze it for a few minutes, and then you decide if this is a good deal or not. But then you also start going into the epic plan, and you start telling people who we are, what we do, why we're so successful. So you don't need to wait for a student to get a house tour. There's plenty of houses every day to walk in, to run a quick 30-minute meeting and create some intrigue and training, and then you build for the next event. So our next event is going to be the epic, right? And epic is education, properties, income, community. Education, properties, income, community. The epic is where people start to realize, yep, it's worth it. It's totally worth it. Here's my credit card. I see the community. I see the education. I see the platform. I see it all. Right? I see the income and I see it. So the epics are every week. Every week. House tours are not necessarily every week. Cash flows are not every week, but epics are every week. This is how we build for events. I know some people think that, well, they go, well, maybe I'll just start doing it once a month, and as I get some traction, then I'll go to every other week, and if it keeps going well, then I'll do it every week. And I could see the logic behind that, but it doesn't create results. It doesn't do what you're hoping it will do. Every week, as people start to see you show up every week, they show up every week, it starts to really kick into effect. I know it's going to be small at the beginning. It's all good. Most great things start out small. The epics. Now, some places the epics are on Tuesday, some places they're on Thursday. Either way. Then we also have the epic version of the webinar, which right now is being hosted at epicplanwebinar.com. Now you must register your guests. Okay, so if you're going to use the Epic Plan webinar, there's an easy place for you to register. You go to the Utah calendar and use the Monday event for the webinar. Read the description, register your guests. Then when they go to the webinar, we can check them in. Okay, read the description, you'll see what I mean. But register. I promise. If you don't register people, they're going to be really impressed with what they see. And if you don't register them and they start clicking on other links or calling other ads and someone else registers them, even though you did all that work up front, if someone else registers them, this is what the law of the land is here. This is what the IMA agreement is. This is what corporate will tell you. Whoever registers that IMA or that guest first gets the sale. Okay? So, every person you talk to, you get their contact info, you put them into the calendar as they start to attend events, house tours, cash flows, webinars, whatever. And all the physical things that we do, we'll get them checked in, right? There's a team there to check them in. But if you're using webinars, use that calendar event on Mondays in the Utah calendar and register. Okie dokie. Good. Now, after the epics, where do we take them? We are going to the follow-up. Now, there's many different versions of the follow-up. There's the one-on-one. There's the two-on-one. There's the group. There's a webinar. But the follow-up is where we go over three things. There's three main points in the follow-up that I like to hit. Okay, point number one at the follow-up is the product. Let's review the product. Let's watch a quick clip on the class. Let's get familiar with the website. let's help everyone understand. We get, I think we're up to 59 classes right now and 28 instructors, lifetime membership, fast forward, rewind, audio, workbooks, spreadsheets and calculators and document. Like we go over, here's the product. That's number one. Number two at the follow-up is the 90-day game plan. Here's what your first 90 days would look like. You watch these classes, you attend these events, you're on these webinars, you're analyzing these properties. This is your 90-day jumpstart. And then number three is funding. And on the funding, we go over credit cards, we go over 401ks, we go over life insurance, and we go over UGA. Okay, so you could do that on the phone, you could do that over lunch, you could do that on a webinar, and twice a week here in Salt Lake. We do it in Spanish and in English, and most other markets at least once a week. Follow-ups are being done. So it's very important to get your guests to the next event. They're also going to learn a ton because in the funding, we teach how to use these. We teach how to use credit cards. We go over proper credit card usage and the mindset. We go over 401ks because if someone can understand how to get a 401k to fund their education, then they're just one step away from getting 401ks and retirement accounts to fund their real estate. So we don't call it the follow-up to the guest. We call it the funding training or the funding workshop. And that way they know when they're showing up, we're talking about funding. And what are we funding? We are funding their education. We're funding their new business. So that's what it's designed for. Okay, now after the follow-ups, then we have this cycle where we put them back into cash flows, house stores, epics, and we ask for the order again. But there are also other kinds of events to be building for. One of them we just had here in Salt Lake, but we got another one coming up in New York. We got another one coming up in Scottsdale. We got another one coming up in Sacramento. Is regionals. Regionals is a great place for a guest to come get exposed to who we are and what we do and how the whole plan works. Regionals. Now, sometimes it's going to cost you $150 to $200 to come. And I've always taken Bob Tierney's approach, right? Bob Tierney's a top income earner from the Chicago team. He's made millions using this system, and he was a broke-ass contractor when he started. And he builds for regionals like crazy. And what he says when he tells people is this $150, this $200, whatever it ends up being, think of this as your test drive. Okay, this is your test drive. You could test drive the education, or you could test drive our community. You can test drive our system. Come spend some time with us. Come meet the CEO, come meet instructors, other top income earners, whoever's going to be there, and come test drive it. It's $20,000. But you can come test drive it for $200, 1%, right? $150, that's less than 1% of the cost for you to come take a test drive, right? And spend the weekend with us. You get training, right? There's a banquet, right? There's networking opportunities. This thing is huge. All the best of the best are going to be at regionals. So take your test drive, come spend some time with us. We're going to get your business off on the right foot. So inside of 30 days, depending on what action you take, you could have your $20,000 recouped. Okay? This is a test drive. If at the end of it, you don't think it was worth it, well, then you know. But it's important for all of us to get guests to regionals. I know the guests that sat in on the Salt Lake regionals, they're getting started with us. They were blown away. They're like, whoa, I thought this was just some sales thing where you give us a link to a site and you're out of here, right? And that's the reputation we kind of got to work against these assumptions people are making. So we show them we're in it to win it. We got our team's backs and their best interest, and a great way to show that is at the regionals. Okay, so for all you Phoenix peeps, Hawaii's coming up as well. Put your guests in the regionals. It'll be worth it. And think about it. If you're 5-star, if you're making some money on their sale, I guess even if you aren't 5-star, you still make $500 on your sale. So if they decide to enroll, you could, I'm not saying jump right to it, but down the conversation, if they're still resistant to attending, you can say, look, why don't you attend? Come check it out. And if you decide to move forward with us, I will give you your money back, right? You decide to buy education. When that commission comes in, I'll give you some of your money back. Don't just jump out there and say that, okay, guys? But kind of as a last resort, you're going to build for the event by talking about all the value they're going to receive, who they're get to meet, why you're going, the relationships, all that, and go over that. And if they're still hesitant, and you know they have the money to buy the combo, but they're just hesitant, then you could say something like, well, why don't you come check it out, and if on that weekend you sign up for your combo, then I'll reimburse you for your regionals cost. Something easy. Then they're there. Does that make sense? Or maybe, there's an extra cost for the spouse to come to the banquet. You say, look, I'll pay for if you come, I'll pay for your spouse to come to the banquet. And now they got two heads looking at this going, dang, we could really do this. And they go back home and they get their money and they call you up and buy a combo. Okay, another event to build for that we just passed, but something that we should never skip is the Leaders Retreat. Okay, there's the Leaders Retreat. Now, sometimes you have an opportunity, depending on your vision and where you want to go with this company, but you could make your own retreat. You can make your own local retreat. I got to give it up to Lauren and Ryan Black here in the Salt Lake market. They made their own team retreat, went and rented a mansion, and got 3 days with their whole team and other people's teams, just to create some more camaraderie and friendships. And then we also did some training. So we goofed around for, most of the day. Then we'd do some training. Then we'd goof around again and do some training. And so these retreats are something that also create relationships and help people take action. Then the one none of us ever skip, the biggest event of all, Nationals. Nationals is March 23rd and 24th. Put it on your calendar now. Okay, go. If you still have a job, you go request the whole week off, because I want you, if you're traveling to Salt Lake, I want you to come check out what we do on a Tuesday, on a Wednesday, on a Thursday, and then you're at Nationals for Friday and Saturday. And then we're going to go skiing, or we're going to go on a rally or something on Sunday. So you're going to spend 5 or 6 days with us. Okay, so Nationals is 23rd and 24th. But there is a train the trainers training, which is the prior Thursday, the 22nd. I want you to register for that as well. Okay. But this is also a thing to get guests to. The same with regionals, where you say, look, you show up, you like what you see, and you decide to move forward, I'll reimburse your costs. Or you flip it around and you say, look, you buy your combo right now, and I'll pay for your regionals. I'll pay for your Nationals ticket. It's that important to me that you attend, that if you buy your combo or you move forward with the education, I'll pay for your ticket, and you can spend the weekend with millionaires. Okay, it's all in that excitement, and this enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is contagious, right? This is something we want people to catch. Enthusiasm. So when you're excited about these different events, when you say, hell no, I'm not missing these events, then your guests start to think, oh crap, well, if he's not missing them, why would I miss them? Man, I'm still poor. I'm still riding the bus. And these people are going every week and their businesses are growing. Okay, I better go. Okay, so do not skip these events. There's a phrase that Bob Snyder likes to teach us all, and it's a mindset, it's a mentality around building for events. Okay, he says never miss a meeting and never come alone. Never miss a meeting, never come alone. This is how you make millions a year, not just a million, but millions a year, because that's a dedication. When you help enough people get what they want, you can have everything you want. You are just responsible at the end of the day. You are a media publishing business. If you think about it, people start to ask you who you are and what you do. Tell them that you are the CEO of a media publishing business. Something to think about. Every time you make a post, every time you make an ad, every time you make a video, every time you run an event, every time you make a flyer, every time you do a podcast or a webinar, aren't you publishing media? And if you started that company, would you be the CEO or the president or the founder, right? You call it, give yourself whatever title is appropriate. But now, when people ask you who you are, what you do, yeah, I'm the CEO of a media publishing business, and we are focusing on growing the best real estate investing training company out there. You got to check it out. Okay. This is where you start to make millions. This is where people sit in the room and they go, man, if they could do it and they can do it and they can do it, I'm in. And they pull out their credit card or their 401k, or they go to get funded, or they use UGA. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what they use. Don't treat anyone differently. Doesn't matter what they use. They're in. They're linking arms with us. They want help. So if you help enough people get what they want, you can get everything you want, right? Zig Ziglar said that. So with your media publishing business, you are out in front. You are showing people who we are and what we do. You're helping them understand a new way. Okay? If you forgot what it's like, go get in your car and drive in your city during rush hour, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Go do that, and then that'll remind you of how shitty it is to get stuck in traffic. Then take that passion and enthusiasm and that empathy and that sympathy for your guests, for your people that are struggling. They might be working their job 10, 15, 20 years, drowning in confusion and fear and doubt, and not knowing how to take care of long-term finances, not knowing how they're going to pay for their kids' college. They're not going to know. So you publish this media, you make those phone calls, you make those webinars, you host these events to help people get out of the rat race, to get unstuck, right? You guys all have this business right now that will take you to heights you can't even imagine if you just talk to people, if you just build for these events, if you just have this attitude of never miss a meeting, never come alone, and you shout this opportunity from the rooftops. You cannot keep it a secret. People are dying to have what we have, even a fraction of it. Okay, the camaraderie, the friendship, the support, the education, the information, the tools. It's incredible. So don't be selfish. Share it. You start with your warm market, then you branch out to your cold market. You start putting out ads, but understanding that this is a flow of building for events. Build for events. Build for events. Okay, it's always the next one, and the next one, and the next one. Okay, and then I just wanted to remind you that we also have a follow-up webinar that you guys can use. Okay, it's very cleverly named the follow-up webinar.com. Again, use the Utah calendar on Mondays. Register. You want to be able to build your lead list and be able to keep all your people so when they decide to move forward, They're linked to you. You're getting that check. Okay. We got about 10 minutes, 15 minutes before the top of the hour, and people got to jump onto their next project. So before we wrap this up, I want to create some clarity. So if you got questions, come off mute or type your question into the chat box and let me know what I can help you clarify on so that you're a part of everything. So when you look back 6 months from now, 12 months from now, you are impressed with your results and you've doubled your income and you've tripled your time off and your business is on autopilot. So what can I do to help you guys understand this? Or was this pretty clear? Was this helpful? Does this work? Are you guys picking up what I'm putting down?
Hey, Michael, this is Daniel in Phoenix. How you doing this morning, sir?
Good place. What do you think of this
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great, thank you. I just had a quick question. I was curious if you ever do one-on-ones before any events, before building for any events. So if you ever just meet somebody, do a one-on-one, and go over like a 4 pillars of wealth with them, and then ask for the order.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, if you got the vibe and people are really interested and they would just want to know what you're up to, then again, I've done them. They work. They're productive, and we also have to look through the lens of duplicatable. So now, because my schedule is so full, I leverage the system. But when I first got started, I would do a presentation for anyone that listened. Absolutely. Let me take you to lunch. Let me show you these 4 pillars, right? Taxes, banking, real estate, business. We're the whole package. And doing it over, a cup of coffee or depending on what market you're in and what culture you're in, you're doing it, over some pizza and beer or whatever, right? It's trying to connect through a one-on-one. Absolutely. That's the best way to get that practice. It's the best way to that's how I got so good at explaining who we are and what we do, is I struggled to explain it clearly in a one-on-one setting. So if you're inundated with leads, though, like I'm seeing some names on this list here, if you're inundated with leads, it's going to be hard to get everyone through a one-on-one. So you're going to have to leverage this. But if you got someone on the phone or you went to a networking event, like let's say you go to one tomorrow morning, and you just meet a really great guy who's looking for some real estate stuff, say, you know what, let's go to lunch right now. Let me show you something. And then, yeah, you bust out the 4 pillars. I always carry a blue Sharpie, a fine point Sharpie, just a small regular Sharpie with me, and a plain old 70-page college ruled notebook for 10 cents. You get them at Walmart for 10 cents. So I got my 15-cent marker, my 10-cent notebook, and I'm busting out $1 million presentations on it. And after you draw it out, here's your 4 pillars, here's the cost, here's your benefits, here's how you pay for it, all that. You can rip that sheet out and give it to them. And then you tell them, and then on the sheet, you're building for the next event. So here's what you are going to come to next. Here's what you are going to research next. Here's who we're going to talk to next. And so now it's written. It's in front of them. They're taking it home. So yeah, Daniel, I definitely do that. So I'm excited to hear how yours go.
Thank you.
Okay. Wanda typed in a message here, missing Super Saturdays and intensives. This is something you cannot do, guys. There's only 11, actually in Utah, there's only 10 Super Saturdays because one of the months is a regionals, the other month is a nationals. So we only have Super Saturdays. You're right, Wanda. Super Saturdays and intensives go right here. Sorry about that. See, you don't have to memorize everything to make a lot of money. I don't have it all memorized. I got peeps on my team like Wanda looking out for me, making me look good. Thanks, Wanda. But right here is Super Saturdays and intensives. Never miss a Super Saturday. Never miss an intensive, right? Sometimes it's $30, sometimes it's $50, $60 to go to an intensive. It's absolutely worth it. What if you had to run your own intensive? How much would you spend? I'll tell you, you'd probably spend about $3,000 to $5,000 to run your own. But you could leverage that and let someone else run it, and you just pay $50 to be there. And you have your guest pay $50. You say, hey man, you buy your education right now, I will pay for your next 3 intensives. Right? I will pay for you to meet these instructors. Right? Right now you get 20 grand, you get to watch them online. But if you take action and you show me you're committed, I'll meet that commitment level, and I'll make sure that you get to meet the next 3 instructors that we bring into town. Right? It's in the phrasing. It's in the excitement level that you bring to the event, to the value that is at the event. So Super Saturdays and intensives. Okay? Do not be one of those IMAs that goes, well, I didn't know. Right? We'll call you up. We're like, man, we had a great intensive this weekend. Bill and Gina and Fred and Ted and Joe and Stu and Tanya and everyone, they all got a combo. They all had a $10,000 weekend. Where were you? Do not be the kind of person that goes, well, I didn't know. I didn't know we were having an intensive. I didn't know. You don't get to say that. We got a calendar, right? We got a calendar. You log in. All the information's there. So if you didn't know, then what you're really saying when you say I didn't know was I don't log into my calendar, right? Don't say that, or say it, but don't disguise it with I didn't know. Say crap, I didn't log into my calendar. You're telling me we just had an intensive. And you guys made $1 million that weekend, and I didn't. You got to check the calendar. Check your calendar. Never skip an intensive. When I first started, and I still had 2 jobs, right? And everyone's bringing their cars into shops on Saturdays. How do I get out of my Saturdays? Crap, that's like the busiest day, right? That's the busiest day. How, like some of you guys are lucky. You work a Monday through Friday job, and so you got your Saturdays off. But what about other people who Saturday is their thing? I had to beg and plead and demand that my schedule got changed. At my jobs. So look, 1 Saturday a month, you cannot register me. And then I started getting more familiar with the system. And I said, sorry guys, 2 Saturdays a month, you cannot put me on the calendar. You cannot schedule me. I will not come into work. I started weekend classes at college, or I started some night classes. I started weekend classes. I mean, it's only two a month, it's only 2 a month. But I'm taking classes now, and you can't schedule me. Don't put me on the calendar. So some of you guys are like, well, I work every Saturday. Yeah, but so do a lot of people. What kind of passion and energy level are you taking to your boss when you're like, I need Saturday off. I need this one. And then you look out another month and you say, I need this one off too. This is when my classes are. I'm taking classes, and I can't skip them. Okay. If you don't say things like, well, I'm building a business on the side. And they're going to say, well, who cares? I'm not going to schedule your time off. But I started noticing like the other people who got no resistance when they were taking time off of work, they just, they were doing college. They were doing night classes. They're doing 1 or 2 classes a week, right? Not that many, 1 class a week for some of these guys and gals as they're taking their college class, right? And so I realized the boss just immediately gave them the day off that they were having class. So instead of me saying, I'm building a business on the side so I can get out of this shithole, I would just say, oh, I signed up for a night class on Thursdays at this local training center where I'm learning, and I'm going back to school. No, I'm going back to school. And then your boss goes, oh, congrats, man. That's great. What are you studying? You say, oh, business administration, or, payroll, or accounting, or whatever, right? Whatever it is that you're learning. But that language in the job world, in the boss world, I realized you got to use the college language, because that's normal for normal people to be normal at their normal job and do a normal college thing. That's normal. Building a business, not normal, freaks them out. Okay. So if you work on a Saturday, tell them, hey man, I signed up for some classes. I signed up months ago. I requested this time off, so sorry, I'm not going to come in. Never skip a meeting, never come alone. Super Saturdays intensives. So there's also a 15-minute webinar I want to share with you guys that you can use. Okay, it's on the banking pillar. Okay, it's a 10-minute review of a very quick version of Velocity Banking, and it is hosted at interestreduction.com. When they go to interestreduction.com, they're going to learn how to reduce their interest. How cool is that? Okay, it's about 10 minutes or so, and that can create some intrigue. And then they're like, whoa, how do I learn more? Come to Cashflow, come to house tours, come to epics, come to follow-ups, come to Super Saturdays, come to intensives, come to regionals, come to Leaders Retreat, come to nationals. Some of your people will buy after the second or third exposure, right? Some people will just be like, do you know what? This is the bee's knees. I'm in right here. And this is where they buy their combo. And some people will buy their combo here. And then sometimes you got to wait a couple weeks and get people to hear and push them through the follow-up. But then a lot of people buy their combo at the Super Saturday and at the regionals, right? People will jump in to buy their combo so they can be a part of this. And if you stick with it, and maybe you are pushing your guests through events for 6 months all the way up till nationals before they buy their combo, they're going to buy at any step along this path. So you just keep moving them along, keep moving along. Don't think that, oh, well, they didn't buy at the cash flow game, they must not be interested. Don't think that. Think they just need more information. If they're not as excited as I am about this, they just need more information. How can I get them more information? Let's get them to a house tour. Let's get them on the phone. Let's send them a testimonial. Let's send them some success webinars that Scott's running. They just need more information. That's my approach. It's never, oh, I said something wrong, or maybe they just don't get it, or maybe they're not the right person. I don't think like that. I think, well, they just need more information. And I keep this same level of enthusiasm all day, the whole time I'm talking to them. All week, all month. Sometimes it's for a whole freaking year or 2 years or 3 years. I follow up with people before they finally sign up. John O'Neill just let me know of someone that his wife put out 2 drop cards, not really drop cards, but like business cards. She overheard a conversation. She said, hey, if you want to make some real money, call my husband, and gave the guy John's card. Well, 2.5 years later, which was just this weekend, the dude calls up and says, holy crap, I'm really ready to start making some real money. So sometimes it's years as you're building for events and getting people information. Okay, so stick with it. Renatus is the best. Renatus will pay you the most. And you get paid, guys. You get paid to change people's lives. That's what's so exciting about it. So thanks for being on the webinar. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for taking this thing seriously. I am so freaking excited right now. I'm going to go to the gym, and I'm going to go try to sell someone a combo at the gym. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we will check back with you soon. Take a screenshot, review this. It'll be up in the links page for you to review over and over. You got a brand new person that missed it, send them this link. Thanks, Ron, again, for setting this up every morning, and we'll see you guys soon. Take care.